My name is Edward Oberholtzer. I'm the resident priest at the Joseph Priestley Zen community here in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We're an affiliate of Empty Moon Zen. I'm here to reflect on the fourth grave precept, the precept of not lying. Bodhidharma set out this precept in these words: Self-nature is subtle and mysterious in the realm of the inexplicable Dharma. Not preaching a single word is called the precept of not speaking falsely. The Dharma wheel turns and turns. There is neither surplus nor lack. The whole universe is moistened with nectar, and the truth is ready to harvest. Listening and speaking from the heart, I vow to take up the way of not speaking falsely. I say that Bodhidharma spoke these words, knowing full well that our evidence for what an Indian monk in 6th century China may have actually said is pretty scant. And yet for this talk on this, the fourth of the grave precepts, I repeat words he may or may not have said as though they were gospel. Am I lying to you? Speaking of Gospels, a moment that stands out for me in the Gospel of John, chapter 18, verse 38, is Pontius Pilate's lament, and I know he's referred to as jesting Pilate. His lament, τι εστιν aletheia, what is truth? The Greek word for truth, aletheia, consists of the alpha privative, that A we find in amoral, combined with a word that we also find in the river Lethe, one of the rivers you cross to reach the land of the dead, and whose waters you drank to forget your prior life. The truth, for the Greeks, was the opposite of forgetting, not at all unlike the Buddhist notion that we are all enlightened from the beginning, that we've simply forgotten, that awakening is a matter of remembering our own true nature. Think of those people out on the frontier between truth and falsehood. Herodotus, a personal favorite of mine, the author of the histories of the Persian Wars, is often called the father of history, and just as often the father of lies. And so the true, that clear-eyed representation of reality as opposed to the false, which lacks that correspondence. There are so many gradations of the false, from being off by a hair's breadth to missing reality by a mile. But of course, there's a difference between the false and intentional falsehoods. The former missing the mark, and fails to correspond with reality, the latter intentionally doing so, unless, of course, you deny the possibility of intentionality. Food for another talk. The pandemic has given me the chance to talk more often and more fully with my brothers. We often exchange childhood memories, and it's been interesting to see how many of my own memories of events consist of false memories. How many are memories of memories? How many jumbled with events separated by years and often hundreds of miles, all melded together into new and often self-serving recollections, memories often which, if not true, should be true, much as the myriad quotes wrongly attributed to Mark Twain, but which also should be true. Are those lies? When I, knowing that I'm wrong, repeat a story, that time on the beach when I attribute that quote about history often rhyming to Samuel Clemens, am I lying? I was studying ancient Greek in college in order to read Homer when a Greek immigrant friend asked the question, Why? All they wrote about were lies. Is fiction a lie? What do we mean when we say a novel is true to life when it is or could be entirely made up? Are myths lies? And speaking of fiction, what about the character in Sartre's short story, The Wall, telling what he believed to be a harmless lie, only to have it be true, a truth which, though unintentional, results in a comrade's death? And what of upaya? And the famous story in the Lotus Sutra of the father misleading his children in order to save them from a burning building. It would seem that upaya, gives a pass to lying for the good of the hearer. And did the Buddha lie in giving incomplete teachings? Did the revelation of the Prajna Paramita Sutras, supposedly hidden for centuries deep in caverns guarded by Nagas until the world was ready to receive the teachings, did that alleviate that lapse that was, let's be honest, a lie? My daughter has a career in international relations and national security. When she was getting her master's degree, she went out of her way to get certified in the field of, dramatic pause here, deception and deceit. One of her professors asked her where she learned to be so deceptive, and she told him that all she knew of the art of lying came from her father, from me. I am, needless to say, enormously proud of her, and I'm happy to impart to you what I taught her. When you wish to lie, see to it that your lie is nestled into a bed of unassailable truths, and then convey it with an almost apologetic air of skepticism. I've read this in a journal that is usually quite reliable, though there was that one incident a couple years ago. Still, I saw it with my own eyes, though, it was getting on towards dark. Still, bolstered by enough truth, the lie will slip through, the skepticism forgotten. Should I say that deception Jenny excelled at and studied was exemplified by the Allies during World War II, when they created a dummy army of fake barracks and inflatable tanks so as to deceive the Germans and distract them from the true invasion in Normandy. A kind of upaya? And so I'll leave you to wrestle with this. Truth, fiction, falsehoods, lies, upaya. Keep both eyes open. Thank you.